Oh my God, you guys were supposed to come in, have a seat, and close the door. Gina Han could have gotten Diddy into much more difficulty, and she could have even put herself into some problems due to the charges that she brought against herself. Please have a seat because we need to discuss this matter. I want to bring to your attention the fact that Gina Han accomplished two things today. The number three, to begin, she demonstrated that she is the most stupid person in the history of the world. For the second time, she revealed that she was the third victim of the crime. All right? Because when everything is said and done, Diddy is a man who is in a difficult situation and he genuinely does not care. All right, pay attention now because this is what my sources are telling me. What are your thoughts on this matter? All right, as for the thing, here it is. The possibility that Gina could be prosecuted with witness tampering under Section 18 of the United States Code 1512 is causing some people to believe that she is engaging in a risky game. All right. According to what they indicated, she might be prosecuted with not only tampering with witnesses, but also providing false statements to the government and obstructing the administration of justice with her actions. And baby, these are the kinds of crimes that carry severe punishments should the authorities be able to prove them. All right, witness tampering can result in sentences of up to 20 years, up to 10 years, or up to 5 years, depending on the seriousness of the offense. This includes the attempt to convince a witness to lie, withhold testimony, or not present in court. Get this. If the federal government believes that Gina was bribed, influenced, or willfully submitted false statements or testimony, the letter, she may face up to 10 years in prison, particularly if it as part of a coordinated effort to obstruct justice. Oh, there is even more. Statements that are not true to the government, all right? It is recommended that the court receive Gina's letter if it contains information that is intentionally untrue. The prosecution may choose to file a charge against her for making a false statement in an official capacity. This might result in a prison sentence of up to 5 years in addition to fines. In addition to obstruction of justice, this includes written statements such as letters to the judge, particularly if they are submitted as part of a motion to release the defendant on bond. This includes lying in official proceedings, seeking to influence witnesses, and attempting to corrupt a judicial process, all of which carry a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. Lying in official proceedings is also included under this category of activities that interfere with the proper administration of justice. So what exactly is the bottom line? Is that correct? It is possible that Gina could be indicted for witness tampering, obstruction, or false statements if the federal government believes that she lied in her letter to the court, that she was financially influenced to submit it, or that she failed to cooperate with a subpoenaed appearance. If this is the case, she could face anywhere from 5 to 10 years in prison, depending on the charge. Additionally, it is important to keep in mind that the greater risk is for Diddy, and this is the most important point that people need to keep in mind. This is something that Diddy may not have anticipated. The allegations of obstruction, witness tampering, and possibly even further charges will be brought against him if they are able to demonstrate that he was the source of pressure or payment, much more so in the event that Gina is granted immunity to testify against them. Those of you who are reading this, I do not believe that Diddy had any idea that the letter would be received in the manner that it was. At this point, let's actually delve more into it because it is within the presence of a grand jury. She provided testimony. She testified in front of the internet users about Tasha K, during which she described the cruelty that he had committed. All right, nevertheless, she was not selected to testify as a witness in the federal case. However, she declined to testify. It was during pivotal periods when she vanished. All right. Despite the fact that she was meant to be absent, she happened to show up at TMZ to take a photo walk. I do not believe that he poses a threat. Additionally, there are rumors that Diddy has provided her with financial help. That message, along with the rent and the legal fees, doesn't that include everything else? Now, you are aware that this occurred during the course of the trial. To reiterate, let me break it down. She was a key witness in the case that was being investigated. Her testimony would be considered material witness. It was stated that she was a victim and she was given a subpoena to appear in court. And then all of a sudden, she reappeared with a letter of support that was beaming. One more time, this is not merely a reference to a character. Someone would claim that this is a strategic piece of evidence that is designed to directly undercut the notion that the prosecution has that victims are in risk. One of the accused victims that prosecutors had suspected Diddy may have blackmailed, bribed, or intimidated was Gina. The difficulty is that Gina was one among the putative victims. Therefore, the fact that she has resurfaced on Diddy's side gives the impression that there has been witness tampering, even if it is not overt or overtly stated. The very first item that Diddy had a problem with was about that occurrence. All right? It has just come to people's attention that Diddy has a woman. It was when they needed her that she vanished, and it was when it could benefit them that she reappeared. Additionally, this is a clear example of witness manipulation. They are even claiming that this would be a terrible situation if she had not been paid off. One more time, a woman who has ghosted the federal government suddenly appears with a letter that has been signed for the individual. Rather than only hurting her, she claimed that they attempted to stomp a billy out of her. This is something that we are supposed to believe. Once again, Diddy is unconcerned. There is nothing that he stands to lose. One thing is certain, however, and that is the fact that Gina was walked in. It's possible that she did this on her own. Either she was brought into this situation by accident or she did it on purpose with the intention of making a fool of herself. All things considered, this is not going to work out well for Diddy since it is going to backfire. I am aware that they believed this letter was intended to be of assistance, and I believe that Diddy is in a desperate state now that Trump has stated that he will not release him in any way. But if you put it into perspective, my sources say that it substantiates what the prosecution had already warned the judge about, which is that Diddy had the power, influence, and financial reach to silence or manipulate his accusers through fear, money, or manipulation. It is not difficult for the federal government to go up there and say something like, "See, Judge Aaron, this is exactly what we meant. We asserted that he was interfering with other witnesses. What transpired with the third victim is something to behold." That being said, even if Diddy is able to argue that this letter is legally acceptable, it still has the potential to serve as evidence of the primary issue. Gina has stated that he is not a threat, despite the fact that Gina has stated a great deal of information. The defense is stating this. Otis, there is no one who is going to come to hear you sing. The prosecution, on the other hand, is now in a position to say unequivocally and with, in this regard, let us once more return to the fact that Gina is a material witness, an individual whose evidence is vital to the case or who is unlikely to attend willingly is considered a material witness in accordance with Section 3144 of the 18th United States Code. We are all aware that Gina was not just an important part of the investigation, but that she was also identified as one of the victims. Furthermore, I am convinced that they would have been able to bring him to justice for his involvement in Smex trafficking if Gina had been able to bridge the gap. Absolutely, I do. It is impossible for an idiot to be separated from his dummy. Again, the court has the authority to issue a warrant for a material witness if both of these statements are true, which I believe they are. The purpose of doing so would be to seize or coerce testimony. All right? To be sure, being named as the third victim in the indictment was sufficient on its own, since it was already enough. Give it some thought. Despite the fact that the prosecution intended to call Gina and establish a case in which her testimony was essential, Gina continued to refuse to appear, vanished, and generally evaded cooperating with the investigation. To reiterate, Gina was clearly identified as a victim of the violence that occurred. Not only was she mentioned in the passage, but she also provided testimony in front of the grand jury members. They anticipated that she would testify. Following her refusal to present, she vanished without a trace. So much so that her attorney vanished. She unexpectedly reappeared to compose a letter right after the lawyer had finished the work that he had been paying for. Baby, this is the textbook example of how to build up a material witness conflict. Let me reiterate, she was a peanut. In addition to having relevant information regarding the charge, the violence, the compulsion, and the abuse that had occurred in the past, her absence made their case weaker. They have the ability to seek obstruction or witness tampering charges, depending on what they actually have proven to have occurred behind the scenes. According to my sources, they may argue that because she was a material witness who eluded appearance, they should pursue these charges. You guys, Diddy is facing a strategic challenge with this situation. Her letter contradicts early claims, undermines the prosecution, and verifies what they warned the court about, which is the influence over victims. This is the case even if there is no money trail to Gina or one that they can show yet. If they have reason to suspect that Gina was subjected to paid pressure or coerced into silence, then her return might have a significant negative impact, leading to the reopening of obstruction or tampering investigations with Diddy, or perhaps a motion to reject her letter as tainted material, or perhaps even an investigation by a grand jury into the financial link between her and Diddy. Once more, you guys, this is not at all good for Diddy. In addition, I find it hard to imagine that they ever attempted to achieve that. However, there is also a moral argument that people aren't actually paying into, and this is something that people make legal likewise. All right? According to Gina, I do not believe that he is a problem. It is possible that forgiveness is not a race for a victim. The threat that Diddy poses to the broader population. Gina, if you don't care about getting a drop kick in the face, then nobody cares about you receiving it. There is no way that Diddy could be dropping ladies in this scenario, but whatever, isn't it? It is not Gina v. Sean Combs involved here. America was competing against Sean Combs because what is being shown in court is not limited to what he did to her. It is the thing that he stands for, a system in which men are able to brutalize women and walk away with it because they have power and money. The mere fact that someone has learned to live with abuse does not mean that we should legalize it. It is not sufficient evidence that he is not a threat that Gina has written this letter. This demonstrates that his influence extends further than we had thought. Additionally, you do not have the right to drop kick someone in the mouth and then apologize for the bleeding that you caused. Perhaps Gina is no longer bothered by it at this point, but what kind of message does it give to the next girl? This case was never about whether Gina feels secure, and it is no longer about whether any of us should feel safe in a world where power is gained via quiet, where abuse is packaged as misguided love through the lens of a modern love tale, and where influence becomes immunity. Baby, pay attention. Gina is a complete idiot for doing this. On the other hand, I believe that she is doing it because she does not want to do it. Furthermore, it is possible for anyone to assert that Gina is a victim, and I firmly believe that Gina may be the victim herself. However, there comes a moment when the victim takes the side of the devil, and at that point, baby, you are the operations, and we have to treat you as such. Listen, and please share your thoughts with me in the comments section. My sources, however, are suggesting that Diddy may have overplayed his hand in this situation. He wants to be released from jail with all his might. Once more, making false statements to the authorities, obstructing the administration of justice, and tampering with witnesses. Another possibility is that she will be indicted if the federal government believes that she lied in her letter, that she was financially influenced to send it, and that she did not cooperate with his subpoenaed appearance. The sentence might range anywhere from 5 to 10 years, and they might be required to, provide evidence of that. It is possible that they will need to do that in order to demonstrate to everyone else that it is not acceptable to play with the federal government's face. All right, for the second time, this presents a greater danger for Diddy. If they are able to demonstrate that he was a source of pressure or payment, then he will be charged with obstruction, witness tampering, and possibly even more offenses. Even if Gina is granted immunity to testify against them, the story is going to become more complicated, you guys. The plot makes more sense now. This appears to be the case that Diddy's inability to receive a pardon from Trump caused him to spiral out of control and become sloppy, and baby, we want to see it. I am praying that the federal government would file additional accusations against them. You were aware of what has to be done, and if it wasn't California, New York, or Miami, you also knew. All right, everyone, please share your thoughts with me in the comments section. After that, I'll get back to you. Goodbye.